What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports, back again with another one. First of all, rest in paradise to the marvelous one, Marvin Hagler. One of the greatest fighters of all time, in my top 20 of the greatest fighters of all time. And I got him ranked number 2 as the greatest middleweight of all time. Number 1 on my list is Roy Jones. Number 2 is the marvelous one, Marvin Hagler. Number 3 is Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins, as the 3 greatest middleweights of all time. I know I'm going to have a lot of people saying, oh, wait a minute, JBsports. A lot of people on my comment section going to say, wait a minute, JBsports. There's a lot of great middleweights. You missing this guy. You missing that guy. You know, I didn't get a chance to watch those guys. You know, the guys that fought when they had black and white TVs, or guys that fought before they even had TVs. Didn't get a chance to look at those guys. I'm just looking at the guys that I watched. And he's definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time. And again, I got him number 2 as the greatest middleweight of all time. Rest in paradise. And my thoughts and condolences goes out to the Hagler family and all his friends and loved ones that he impacted throughout his life. Salute, my brother. Okay, let's get to some breaking news. They've got the fight done. Anthony Joshua, who holds the WBA, IBF, and WBO heavyweight titles, has signed the contract to face off with the WBC heavyweight champion Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. He has signed this contract. Eddie Hearn announced it earlier today and said that, look, the fight's been signed. Both fighters have agreed, and they have signed their names on the contract. He said the hard part is done. Now they're on the track to find a venue and a location for this fight. The Middle East keeps prominently being mentioned as the front runner to host this fight. I've been saying in past videos that I think the fight's going to end up in the United States. You know, they say they're going to hopefully get a venue by next month. So you're looking at April. Now, maybe some changes in the Middle East or one of these other countries, Asia. You know, I heard Singapore. I've heard Macau, China. But these places like Singapore have never hosted fights. Macau, China ain't hosted a big fight since Pacquiao. And that's like 4 or 5 years ago. And even the Middle East, that last fight was 2019 with Amir Khan and Billy Dibb. Let's look at places that have hosted fights here in this year since 2021 began. And let's look at big venues. You're looking at the AT&T Stadium, Dallas Cowboys play there. You're looking at that facility. You're looking at Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins. And you're looking at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. I think Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum probably talking to those 3 places to host the fight, and it could end up at one of those 3 places. I know a lot of people say, well, why would 2 UK fighters fight here in the United States? You know, their fans going to have to travel all the way over from the UK to come see this fight. And the fans will travel, but during these times and during the pandemic, maybe they'll have an impact on how many fans actually fly down here to the United States to watch these 2 guys fight. Maybe they feel it's more safer to stay at home and watch it on pay-per-view. But it just remains to be seen where this fight will be hosted. You know, a lot of people kind of was jumping the gun and saying that the interview that Tyson Fury did with BT Sports, where he mentioned Deontay Wilder could be his next opponent. People were like, oh, man, he's going to fight Wilder. Yeah, he should do that. He owes Wilder a trilogy. You know, stick to your guns. Be a man of your word. You know, he gave you opportunity. Give him opportunity. Deontay Wilder has Tyson Fury over a barrel with the mediation. He's forced to fight Deontay Wilder. People were just running with this stuff. And it's obvious that Deontay Wilder got a monetary value for missing out on the 3rd fight. But the contract stated that the fight had to be done by October of 2020. And the fight did not get done by that time due to the pandemic and due to the fact that Bob Arum wanted that fight to take place in front of fans. He wasn't willing to put that fight in some bubble and lose out on a lot of money. That fight of that magnitude had to be a fight where they can make money off the live gate. Didn't want to do it. You know, so Al Heyman, you know, Shelley Finkel, they co-signed what Bob Arum was trying to do, and the fight ended up getting negated because of that clause in the contract. Now Wilder, in my opinion, needs to get a fight and then sets itself up for a big pay-per-view fight at the end of 2022. My bad, at the end of 2021 versus Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz got a fight coming up against Chris Arreola. Deontay Wilder can get a fight in the meantime. You know, he could fight Charles Martin or Artur Valin. And then if both fighters win, then you've got a big fight set up at the end of 2021. And the winner of that will be in prime position to fight for a world title. So we'll see what happens. We will see what transpires. But, you know, when I don't just do videos just to, you know, just to try to get views. Oh, man, Fury's going to fight Wilder. He's not fighting Joshua. You know, and people doing these videos and just, you know, they take a statement a fighter makes out of frustration. That's what Fury was. He's frustrated because he wants the fight to happen. He's been out the ring for a year and a half. He's just frustrated. But when you just look at it and look at the situation, the pandemic is what prevented Wilder versus Fury 3 from happening. So that's playing a part in Fury Joshua fight getting signed. You think you know, with that being a problem there, all of a sudden it's not going to be a problem for Wilder Fury 3. It was a problem back then, which when it was in a worse situation, we didn't know as much about the pandemic. Now you're in a little bit better situation, and you know a little bit much more about the pandemic, but you think he's going to end up fighting Wilder over Joshua, even though the contract ran out in October. It makes no sense. You just got to put two and two together, and you just got to look at things in detail and just kind of take your biases out of it. I know a lot of people love Deontay Wilder. He's a guy that represents me as a black man and me as a person in the black race very well. And I'm a Deontay Wilder fan, but I just have to look at the facts and be objective. And I never put any kind of credence into him getting the fight with Tyson Fury based on the interview Fury did out of frustration with BT Sports. And people just need to quit running with it and making these videos and just jumping the gun on a Wilder Fury 3 fight when Fury is in deep negotiations. His team is in deep negotiations with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, who represent Anthony Joshua. Let me know your thoughts upon this breaking news, though. Anthony Joshua versus Fury is signed. The only other question is, where will this fight take place? Will it take place in the Middle East? Or will it take place in Asia? Or will it take place in the United States of America? My money is on the United States of America based on events currently. Now, if things get better as far as the pandemic and these countries feel much more open to having a fight and bringing in fans, and they'll be much more open to opening their pocketbooks and giving Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum a huge site fee, maybe it takes place in the Middle East or Asia. But as right now, as it stands, those places are not willing to put up that type of money due to the ongoing coronavirus. United States is only people, again, have shown that they're willing to put on big events, in particular 3 venues. Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, which hosted Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz this past October, 31st to be exact, on Halloween. And a more recent venue that took place just a couple of weeks ago, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami, Florida, hosted Canelo Alvarez versus Avner Yildirim. And then we got a fight that's being lined up for May 8th, Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. And guess what? Eddie Hearn, who's a chief negotiator for this AJ Fury fight, is the guy that's going to be putting that fight at AT&T Stadium. Maybe he doubles back and gets AJ and Fury to fight there in June, a month after Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez on Cinco de Mayo weekend. Let me know your thoughts on AJ Fury finally getting signed. The deal is done. The handwriting has been applied. The I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed, and it's on. Now it's all about finding the venue and the location. Let me know your thoughts on this particular matchup and being finally signed. As far as the fight goes, I like Fury. Fury jab will be the difference in this fight. I think his head movement will give Anthony Joshua problems. I think he's starting to sit down his punches more. So I think he'll be landing the right hand. He'll be setting it up off the jab. I think Anthony Joshua is a beautiful combination puncher. I think Anthony Joshua will be looking to set the uppercut up. Anthony Joshua needs to back up Fury. He can't let Fury back him up like he did Deontay Wilder. Even though Anthony Joshua is a better fighter going backwards than Deontay Wilder, he doesn't nearly have the power to offset Fury and have Fury basically not as aggressive as he was in the first fight. He got way more aggressive in the second fight under the tutelage of new trainer Sugar Hill. But he still had to respect the right hand of Deontay Wilder. That's why after hurting Wilder early in that fight, it still took him 7 rounds to get Wilder up out of there because he had respect for Wilder power. I don't think that'll be the same type of respect he'll have for Anthony Joshua, who is a good puncher, who has a good right hand too and a beautiful uppercut, probably the best uppercut in boxing. But I think Fury might be even more aggressive with Anthony Joshua than he was in the second fight with Deontay Wilder. And I think the mental fortitude of Tyson Fury is miles ahead of Anthony Joshua. I just think he's more mentally tougher. You see the situation here with him with Otto Wallin when he got cut. He got with a big, nasty cut. He bit down on his mouthpiece and started bullying Otto Wallin, backing Otto Wallin up, bullying him up against the ropes and working the body. Changed the game plan up from fighting on the outside to just being aggressive and bullying and mugging and just out fighting and out hustling Otto Wallin, who now we know is a much better fighter than we had going into that fight. So I like Tyson Fury to win this fight. I don't know if it's going to be a unanimous decision or maybe a late stoppage, but I definitely like him to win this fight when these guys match up. But Anthony Joshua is a live dog. And if he can take advantage of a rusty Tyson Fury who has been out the ring for a year and a half, him being fighting more recently against Kubrat Pulev, he can maybe land that uppercut and maybe land that right hand. And we all know that Tyson Fury has been dropped multiple times. If he can drop Fury, get him hurt, then jump on him and try to close the show early in that fight, that'll be his best opportunity to win the fight. The longer the fight goes, the better it's going to be for Tyson Fury. As he gets into his rhythm, knocks the rustiness off, he's just a more versatile, a more complete fighter than Anthony Joshua. That's just my preliminary thoughts. I'll break that fight down more in depth leading up to the fight when the fight finally gets announced. But let me know your thoughts of this fight being finally agreed to. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury for undisputed heavyweight champion. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I'll holla.